Sorry about this. I just want to be the very best. Like no one ever was. Hey guys, I'm Betty Bookworm and I read way too much into things. So I was rereading Fight Club the other day and I noticed something interesting. Now, I think I've made it pretty clear that I love Chuck Palahniuk. I do. I love him. I love him. I love his books. I love his face. I just love him. I think he's amazing and imaginative and just so innovative. And normally we don't hear words like imaginative and innovative in sentences with words like formulaic. Normally when we hear formulaic or formula, we tend to think of plots and stories that are, in a word or 3 words, less than great. However, I have noticed that in several of Palahniuk's books, he uses a distinct formula. Now, sometimes he strays from the formula with fabulous results, and less than fabulous results. I'm sorry, Chuck, I still think it's a good book. Now, how is Palahniuk able to partake in the use of formulas while still maintaining a fresh narrative? Let's delve in, shall we? Now, for the sake of brevity, I'm going to stick to 3 of his novels for examples. Fight Club, duh. Choke, it's amazing. And Invisible Monsters. I have the remix version. Now, in all 3 of his stories, there is a main character who is the quintessential transgressive hero. This character normally has an unusual job, is dealing with a crippling personal problem, and handles said personal problem in socially unacceptable ways. The narrator in Fight Club, sometimes called Jack, works at an automobile manufacturer where he investigates accidents to determine whether or not they should issue a recall. He suffers from debilitating insomnia because of his job and the stresses of societal pressures. And he starts a fight club for frustrated men who feel emasculated by their dead-end jobs. Victor Mancini, the main character in Choke, is the actor at a colonial reenactment park. Not only is he a sex addict, he also has a mother who suffers from Alzheimer's. To pay for his mother's medical bills, he cons people by pretending to choke in restaurants. Shannon McFarlane, the main character in Invisible Monsters, is a supermodel. She gets half of her face blown off by a shotgun. Goes on a road trip to reinvent herself and also to steal medications and prescription drugs. Each story also has what I like to call a Biff character, B-I-F, the bad influence friend. The Biff is usually a close friend or family member to the main character, helps and or influences the main character's cataclysmic quest, and the Biff may have the main character's best interest at heart, but will ultimately hurt them. Tyler Durden, the Biff in Fight Club, is not a close friend or family member per se, but he is the narrator's alter ego. He helps the narrator create Fight Club and ultimately creates Project Mayhem. And though he intended to help the narrator reclaim his masculinity, he ended up taking over and ruining his life. Ida Mancini, the Biff in Choke, is Victor's absent conspiracy theorist mother. She is the reason why he cons people. She is also the reason he has trouble forming attachments. Though she loved her son, she was an unfit mother who would often kidnap him from his foster parents when he was a child. Brandy Alexander is the Biff in Invisible Monsters. She is Shannon's transgendered sister. She convinces Shannon to change her identity and travel cross-country with her after the accident leaves her disfigured. Though she cares for Shannon, she leads her into a life of petty crime. Lastly, let's talk about the love interests. The love interest in many of Palahniuk's books usually has a shady means of survival and or employment. They are mentally ill or self-destructive, and usually serves as a catalyst for the main character's quest, as opposed to being a pretty plot device. They're kinda like manic pixie dream girls, except less cute and more kooky. They're depressed succubus nightmare girls. Marla Singer, the love interest in Fight Club, steals food from her deceased neighbors in order to live. She also attempts suicide. And the narrator admits that he started Fight Club because of Marla. Paige Marshall, the love interest in Choke, tells Victor she is his mother's doctor. But she is really a delusional patient impersonating a doctor. She leads Victor to believe he is the only son of Jesus Christ. Manus Kelly, the love interest in Invisible Monsters, is an ex-policeman who specializes in sting operations to catch gay male prostitutes. Is a self-obsessed narcissist who abused Brandy Alexander. It can be assumed Shannon disfigured herself to get away from her unsatisfying life and her unsatisfying relationship with Manus. Though Chuck Palahniuk does follow certain formulas, he is able to keep each one of his stories original and different. He uses the formulas as archetypes and as foundations for which he can build intriguing characters. And interestingly enough, none of the formulas I mentioned had anything to do with the plot, only with the characters. That's because his plots are incredibly character-driven. He's able to use character formulas, or archetypes, because he keeps his plots fresh and new. And this is just one of many reasons why Chuck Palahniuk is one of the most masterful novelists of our time. Have you noticed any other archetypes that Chuck uses? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching Books and Blue Stockings. I'm Betty Bookworm and I read way too much into things.